ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। Namaste my dear friends, this is video number 19 on Viveka Chudamani of Adi Sankaracharya. In this video, we will learn how to end the superimpositions and destroy your mind and vasanas and ego. Stanza number 277. Sav atam annev sada सितत्वा मनो नश्यति योगिनः वासनानाम् अक्षय चातः सवाध्यापन्यं कुरु. Being ever fixed on his own self, the meditator's mind ends. Then there is a complete cessation of vasanas, so negate entirely your superimpositions. In this section, with these 16 verses, Sankara exhaustively indicates how our timeless projections can be ultimately removed and the pure infinite self in all its holiness rediscovered as the essential nature in each one of us. Without identifying with our body, mind, and intellect, let us steadily contemplate upon the self as our own divine, infinite nature. A yogi who has yoged his mind to this higher ideal gains mastery over his mind. He alone can annihilate his mind. The annihilation of the mind, manonasha, is not possible unless all the vasanas in it have been exhausted. Without annihilating the cause, the effect cannot end. When the mind becomes quiet, then as a result of our sincere and repeated attempts at meditation, all the existing vasanas get roasted in the fire of contemplation. Though they give the impression of being there, they can never more sprout into desires, thoughts and actions, ending your misconceptions that you are the body, the mind and the intellect. Practice on diligently and your superimpositions and experience the essential self which is behind all your personality layers. Stanza number 278. Tamo dvabhyam rajah satvatam sattvam shuddhen nashyati tasmatam sattvam vashtabhya swadhyaya sapannayam kuru. Tamas is destroyed both by Rajas and Sattva, Rajas by Sattva, and Sattva is destroyed on purification. Therefore, solely depending upon Sattva, deny entirely your superimposition. The vasanas of every individual fall under the three categories of Tamas, Rajas, and Sattva. When these vasanas are totally exhausted, the divine self within us shines forth vividly for our direct experience. How to get rid of these vasanas? Tamasic vasanas can be removed by cultivating Rajasic and Sattvic vasanas. Rajasic vasanas can be ended by replacing them with Sattvic ones. When the mind becomes purer, the sattvic vasanas too get exhausted. Tamasic vasanas, the urge of lust and rest, indolence and slumber, are the typical motivational urges in the majority of us. There is no anxiety to do anything. lethargy, sleep, etc. are the signs of tamasic vasanas. These low devolutionary vasanas are removed by instilling into the individual more and more rajasic vasanas. Rajas is activity and dynamism. By injecting into a tamasic man more and more desire, he becomes active. He acts vigorously so that he may earn more and enjoy more elaborately. Such an individual will act constantly for selfish ends, for he is prompted by low desires for cheap and dissipating sense gratifications. When thus he has started working from morning till evening, exhausting himself only for the chance to relax from evening till midnight, that he can thoroughly enjoy a life of sensuality, a time soon comes when he starts feeling the hollowness of life. He feels money I have, a good wife I have, everything I have, but what is the use? There is no peace of mind. Thus, when he works at a tremendous tempo and reaches this state of dissatisfaction, his rajoguna vasanas can be curbed, directed, and finally transcended by instilling into his more and more sattvic vasanas. Advise him, brother, go on working at the same tempo. Work you have to do. There is no other go. Through work we have got ourselves entangled, and through work alone we can disentangle ourselves. But do not desire the fruits of your actions. Desire for the fruits of our actions entangles us, and desireless, dedicated activity disentangles our personality. Thus, he has to be led from selfish, lusty acts into a field of selfless, dedicated activity. Selfless dedication comes only as a result of devotion at a higher altar. The Lord or the Guru teacher in such an inspired spirit of dedication sincerely and lovingly work on in the same cheerful tempo. Instead of working under the whip of your arrogant ego, start acting inspired by your accepted ideal and your faith in it. When one starts working without ego and egocentric desires, the existing vasanas are exhausted and no new vasanas are created. When Rajoguna vasanas get purged, Sattvic vasanas alone will linger in such a personality. Devotion to the Lord, anxiety to realize, etc., will gather a new momentum. But Satoguna vasana is also a vasana. Shackles made of gold also bind. How to remove them? The best method is to steadily increase the sattvic vasanas. When the sattvic vasanas increase, your devotion to your ideal grows more and more. You are no longer satisfied by mere dedication to it. You want to experience it. The more you try to experience it with your mind and intellect, the quieter your mind becomes. Quieter the mind, lesser the turmoil, which means greater is the purity of the inner equipment. When the mind becomes absolutely pure, the sattvic vasanas also get exhausted, and at last it completely transcends sattva also. Sattva atita. When an individual has gone beyond sattva, it is the auspicious moment of his direct experience of the self within. Therefore, increase sattva, says Sankara, advising those who are heavily under the laces of the Rajasic vasanas. Develop a sattvic nature and reject entirely your superimpositions. Stanza number 279. Prarabdham pushyati vapuriti निश्चल है धैर्य मालम्ब्य यत्नेन स्वाध्याय सापन्यम कुरु knowing for certain that your prarabdha will nourish this body, remain undisturbed and with courage deny entirely your superimposition. Those who have taken to sadhana as their sole purpose in life may renounce everything and remain in jungles with no security, etc. Yet one feeling still lingers in their bosom, the anxiety for the maintenance and nourishment of the body, food. When once this worry has started, the sadhak has already started another sansar. It would have been better than had he remained with his family performing his worldly duties. Even when all other worries are over, it is but natural that the one regarding the preservation of the body will still linger. Once you yield to that physical anxiety, it will multiply by leaps and bounds. The resulting storms of the mind will destroy all the sadhana that you might have done for years. Dire then is the fall. This body is what it is because of its prarabdha. Because of your vasanas, you have taken this body. Today, the body moves every minute expressing its powerful vasanas. The body will drop off once the vasanas are exhausted. Till then, it will continue to exist, food or no food. It will be looked after by its own prarabdha. If if my body is not getting food, I become anxious for it. However, when this body was born, it was born without consulting me. That mighty law by which it was born will keep it going for the purpose for which it was born. If it falls off, never mind, let it go. Understanding this well, strengthen your mind and protect it from all such agitations. Muster up courage, reach a discriminative conclusion through intelligent reflections, put in true effort with unseen perspiration, with invisible panting, with secret effort, remove the misconception within yourself. Stanza number 280. Na ham jeeva param brahmeyat dva virti purvakam. वासना वासना वेगतः प्राप्त स्वाध्याय सापन्यम कुरु. I am not the Jiva, I am the Supreme Brahma. Thus, by eliminating all that is the not self, deny entirely your superimpositions which manifest through the propulsion of your past urges. I am not the Jiva, the PFT. I am not limited or conditioned by the body, mind, and intellect. I am the Supreme Brahma without any entanglements with or limitations of the body, the mind, and the intellect. The all pervading and eternal reality am I. Let such thoughts always be in your mind as a subdued but clear background music. With such positive thoughts, the negative ideas gathered by the flood of vasanas can be eliminated. These negative thoughts of I am the limited, I am the body, the mind, the intellect, etc. have been with us due to the expressions of the vasanas in our bosom. They have to be replaced by positive vasanas and the misconceptions have to be totally removed. Deny entirely all your superimpositions. Stanza number 281. Sruta yukta स्वानुभूत्या ज्ञात्वा सर्वात्म आत्मनं कौचिदाभासतः प्राप्त स्वाध्याय सापन्यम कुरु. Having realized your own self to be the self in all through scriptures, by reasoning and from your own direct experience, deny entirely your superimpositions, even when a slight trace appears. By means of what has been read and understood from the Upanishads, Srutya, by intelligent argumentation yuktaya, by your own first-hand experience sva anubhutaya. By means of these three methods, having apprehended the truth, a sadhak must get fully released from all his superimpositions. The three processes constitute the listening, sarvana, reflections upon the ideas listened to, manana, and meditation upon them for direct personal experience, nididhyasana, respectively. Come to apprehend the Atman, the self in you, as the self everywhere by listening to the scriptures, by reflecting upon the ideas through intelligent argumentation, and come to experience it through contemplation while doing sadhana. Whenever the ego and egocentric vulgarities such as lust, greed, anger, and passion appear even a little, destroy them immediately. The mind will rush out into sense objects again and again, since for millions of lives we have been asserting and living at the ego level. It is necessary that we guard against the mind running out again, hunting after its sense gratifications. Continue this triple path of spiritual living and all your misconceptions. How much you have studied is not the question. How much you have moved towards it is what matters. Ultimately, come to deny entirely all your superimpositions is the repeated advice of Acharya Sankara. Stanza number 282. अन्नादान विसर्गभ्यामीशन्नास्ति क्रियामन्नि तदेकनिष्ठया नित्यं स्वाध्यायसाफल्यं कुरु. Since he has no idea of eating or evacuating, the sage has no relationship with action. Therefore, through continuous involvement in the contemplation of Brahma, deny entirely all your superimpositions. Eating is not only putting food into the mouth and swallowing it, but also the anxiety for it, plans for its preparation, all the excitement for it, the sweet expectation of its taste, its mouth-watering smell, and ultimately eating it. All these are not there to distract him who is engrossed in the study and reflection of the scriptures. Food, annam in the Upanishads also means all sense objects eaten by the sense organs. So, eating food, adanna means reception of sense objects. Our responses to the stimuli received represent excretion or expulsion, visarga. Receiving stimuli from the world of objects and responding to them with egocentric identification are not done by a man of reflection, Muni. One who is striving to learn the art of meditation must slowly and carefully develop in himself an attitude of holding to them. A man of reflection does not identify with these. They may go on at the physical level because of the prarabdha of the body, but he is not involved in them. He is otherwise busy. This truth has a universal applicability. Even in ordinary life, we find a man of reflection, a serious thinker, is not normally available for petty reflexes. When the examinations are near, students are very busy with their studies. No movies, no picnics, vigorously studying. When the mind has taken up any idea seriously, it gets engrossed in it. The absent-mindedness of the great scientists and artists is attributed to their devotion to the theme of their deep contemplation and pursuit. Always contemplating upon the one ideal tat eka nisthaya, act on the world, get engaged, be wedded up to the theme of Brahma, the Supreme Self, and deny entirely all your superimpositions. Stanza number 283. tato masyadi vakayot tha brahma katve bodhate Brahmaya atam tattva dharyaya swadhyaya sapanyam kru. By means of the realized knowledge of the identity of Brahma and Atma, arising from such great maxims of the Vedas as thou thou art, deny entirely your superimpositions in order to strengthen your identification with Brahma. The great declarations of the Upanishads point out the identity of the individual self with the self present everywhere. The substratum for my life is the very substratum for the whole universe. In order to gain intimate experience of this great declaration and your superimpositions, in order to be firmly established in Brahma, and your mental illusions to awaken to the Brahmic consciousness and all misconceptions about yourself. For deep, confirmed experience, Dhardhaya, the spiritual experience of the self should not be a passing fancy or super sensuous experience only. It must be a firm and deep experience, as firm as our experience today that we are this body bundle, and as deep as our daily experiences of the world around us. Stanza number 284. अहम भावस्य देहे अस्मिन्नि शेष विलायावधि सावधानेन युक्तात्मा स्वाध्याय सापन्यम कुरु. Till the identification with the body is completely rooted out, with vigilance and concentration, deny entirely all your superimpositions. How long should this practice be continued? This doubt assails all beginners in Vedanta study. Sankara categorically answers this illogical and idle question and says, till the attitude I am this body ends totally with no trace remaining, the superimposition has to be done away with very carefully with all vigilance. Swadhanena. Try to remove this misconception with great concentration and care through steady reflection and meditation slowly and calmly. Stanza number 285. Partiti jiva jagato sopanvad bhati yavata tavani antaram vidvasavadhyaya sapanyam kru. O learned one, as long as even a dream-like perception of the world of objects and of the experiencing ego, jiva, persist continuously, strive to deny entirely all your superimpositions. There are two interpretations to this verse. One school of commentators emphasize that till the jiva and jagat distinctions, the subject-object relationship appear even as a dream, the practice of self-withdrawal has to be continued. According to this school, the practice stops when everything around, including the sadhak's very individuality, appears as a vision in a dream. The other school says even if there is a dream-like perception of the subject-object relationship, the practice of self-withdrawal has to be continued till the sadhak enters completely into samadhi. Two types of men of realization are revered and respected in Hinduism. The first type are those who even after realization come to work in society. They work because they see the world around them, and even while they are working, they are fully aware that the world of plurality is unreal, like a dream. Sri Ramachandra, Sri Krishna, Acharya Sankara, King Janaka are examples of this type. There are the others who turn completely to meditation. They do not experience anything of the world outside. Whenever the perception of plurality occurs, they immediately withdraw their minds and try to remain fixed in Brahma. Both these types are indicated in the sensitivity of this verse. Stanza number 286. निद्राया लोकवार्ताया शब्दारेऽपि विस्मृते कविच्चन्वाश्रम दत्वा चिंता आत्म आत्मनि. Without giving even the slightest chance to forget the Atma because of sleep, unawareness, matters of the world or sense objects reflect steadily upon the self in the mind. Two forces from within distract man from pursuing their ideal, unawareness, and be concerned for worldly things. It is generally observed that when a man is fired with enthusiasm to dedicate himself to an ideal, the less intelligent and unenthusiastic people around him try to dissuade him. If he yields to this pressure, his enthusiasm will ebb away and consequently his efforts will weaken miserably. While at work, if you allow your mind to slip into unawareness and inadvertence, your efficiency suffers. Sadhaks should be very alert and should never allow these forces to pollute their sadhana, even for a moment. Do not get distracted. Constantly contemplate upon the nature of the self in the mind. Stanza number 287. Mata Pitri Lod Bhutam Malmasayam Vapuhu Taktva Chandal Vaduram Bahi Bhuya Kirti Bhav. Shunning to a safe distance like an outcast, this body which has come from the impurities of the parents and which itself is constituted of flesh and its impurities. Assert your divine Brahmic nature and realize the fulfillment of your life. This physical body is fashioned from the excretory material of the father and the mother and itself is flesh and impurities only. To the needs of this we cater so much. We soap it, pow, powder it, perfume it, and dress it up in the most modern clothes. This unholy packet of filth should be kept far away from our identifications. Unfortunately, we have to carry it with us wherever we go, so we must not identify with it to such an extent that we are ever busy dancing attention to it, being full-time slaves to our own abominable flesh. All that is asked of us is the giving up of our identifications with the body. The moment we accomplish this full detachment, we become of the nature of Brahma, Brahmi Bhuta. Today we are not able to understand reality because of our flesh identification and our subsequent slavish catering to its endless demands. Kritri Trivata. It is the feeling that whatever had to be done has been done. Kriti, may you become that Brahmi Bhava after experiencing that infinitude which is free from all sorrows. All our sorrows are contributed by our awareness of our body, mind, and intellect. Transcending them all is the experience of the infinite beatitude. Once this is experienced, all our seekings come to an end. We will no more be anxious to acquire, to possess, or to aggrandize. All these anxieties arise only at the BMI level. We are asked to give up our identification with our BMI, our packet of filth. The reward for this sacrifice is infinite bliss and a sense of complete satisfaction, a sense of fulfillment perfect in its totally satisfying joys. Stanza number 288. Ghadakasam Mahakash Iva atmanam pratmani vilapakhand bhavin tushnim bhavsadamane. Merging the finite ego in the Supreme Self, like the pot space in the infinite space, by meditating on their identity, be forever peaceful, O sage. The pot space example is well known in Vedanta. Pot space Ghata Akasa means the space enclosed by the pot. Infinite space Maha Akasa means the total space of the universe. In the total space, the sun, the moon, the stars, and the earth, etc., are all moving. Space is all pervading and is one without a second. It allows other things to exist in it, but is never itself affected by them. This infinite space conditioned by the pot becomes the pot space. The pot space is limited, while the total space is unlimited. The pot space is conditioned by the pot, the total space is conditioned by nothing. If the pot is broken, the pot space becomes one with the total space. In fact, the pot space was never separate from the total space, even while the pot was existing. The existence of the pot space was only an illusion created by the mud walls of the pot. Similarly, consciousness conditioned by the physical body appears as the jiva. The concept of individuality has arisen because of the consciousness identifying with the physical body. When this identification is removed, the limited consciousness is experienced as the consciousness present everywhere, absolute and infinite. Thus, again, the quietude of mind and intellect, tosni bhava. May the individual who is reflecting upon the Upanishadic truth become quiet and serene, having experienced the merger directly in his own heart. Stanza number 289. So prakasam adhishtanam swambhu swada atmana brahm andapami pinda pinda andam tajjatam malbhandvat. Yourself becoming the self-luminous Brahma, the sole substratum of all things, reject the macrocosm and microcosm like two unclean parcels. The causal, the subtle, and the physical bodies function because of the consciousness in us. When it is not expressing, the physical body is dead. Hence, this life principle, this spark of existence, is considered the ground, the substratum which holds them all together. This substratum is self effulgent because it is the divine consciousness. Come to apprehend this truth in yourself. In Sanskrit, the term used to indicate the macro cosmic universe, the totality, is Brahma Andam. That used to indicate the microcosmic individuality is Pinda Andam, the great womb in which grows the entire universe of living creatures and lifeless things is called the macrocosm, the Brahmanda. The micro cosm constituted of the individual physical body, its passions, emotions, and thoughts is called the Pinda Anda. Transcend these two, Brahma Anda and Pinda Anda, and experience the supreme reality. To throw away a bundle of filth, we should have no regrets. With no regrets, therefore, renounce the macrocosm and the microcosm, the concepts of universality and individuality, like two bundles of foul smelling abhorrent filth. Stanza number 290. Chida Atamni Sada Anande Deharuda Maham Dhyam Nivesha Lingam Mritusharjay Kevalo Bhavasarvada. Shifting your identification, which is now fixed in the body, to the Atman, which is existence, knowledge, bliss. absolute, rejecting the subtle body, may you become ever the pure self alone. Our identification with the body is so deep rooted today that we consider ourselves to be the body. This identification should be totally shifted to the Atma. Every one of us considers himself to be either the gross body or the subtle body or the causal body. Each one of us should therefore replace our body identification with self identification, for the nature of the self is pure consciousness, absolute knowledge, and ever blissful. When you wake up, your identification with your dream body ends. When the dreamer with his dream body makes a pilgrimage to the waking state, then in the waking mind and body, the dream mind and body merge. In much the same way, at this moment, we have the firm belief that we are the body. Through study, reflection, contemplation, and sincere meditation, rise above the subtle body and become the one with a second at all times. The infinite one, Kevala, that which is not limited by time or space or any other conditioning, the homogeneous non-dual self. Stanza number 291. यत्र से जगदाभासो दर्पणान्त पुरम यथा तद्ब्रह्म अहमिति ज्ञात्वा कृतकृतो भविष्यसि. That in which there is the illusion of the universe, just as the city in the mirror, that Brahma you are. Knowing this, you will experience the fulfillment of your life. During sadhana, when the merger with the Supreme is not complete, the perception of the world of objects will distract and disturb the sadhak, though in fact it has no existence whatsoever. Its existence is as real as that of the reflection of a city in a mirror. The reflection in the mirror looks exactly like the object reflected, but there is a lateral inversion of the object. That is, the right side looks as if it is the left side. Also, if you are facing east and looking at the mirror, your image will be facing west. Whenever your attention is drawn towards the world of objects, think of its unreal nature. The world is nothing but the reflection of Brahma, having no reality apart from it. The difference between Brahma and the world of objects is the lateral inversion. Consciousness is infinite. The world is finite. It is all bliss. The world is all pain. It is all perfect. The world is extremely imperfect, but for these differences, in fact, it is the world. Thus, having apprehended I am Brahma, in which there is but the illusion of the universe, come to enjoy the sense of supreme fulfillment in life. Stanza number 292. यत सत्य भूतम निज रूप माद्यम चिद्वा आनंद स्वरूप क्रियम तदित्य मिथ्या वै पुरुषर्जित सेलुस्य विद्वेष मुपात आत्मने. Attaining that which is intrinsically one's essence, which is absolute knowledge and bliss, non-dual, which is beyond all forms and activities, one should cease identifying with the false body like the actor who relinquishes his dress and makeup. All joys known to me in my daily life are because of me and the objects of my liking. The Supreme Self is infinite joy, which is the very nature of the Self, not arising from any other object. Advait Ananda. This consciousness is formless, unlimited, and unconditioned by anything. It is all pervading and without any activity, for activity is not possible in the all pervading. Where will he act? With what will he act? What is there to be acted upon? In the perfect where are desires the impulses behind every action. The all-full has no sense of imperfection and hence there is no desire to be fulfilled through actions. Having reached this great goal, rise above the false notion I am the body like an actor in a drama. When an actor plays the role of a king on the stage, he wears a crown on his head, a false beard and mustache, and orders everyone about. But when the makeup is removed, he emerges from backstage free and relaxed. He is now his own self and not the king whose part he played on the stage. Before he came onto the stage, he was Mr. So and so. After going away from the stage, when the makeup is removed, he is again himself, the Mr. So and so. On stage too, he was the same Mr. So and so, but with the makeup, he acted the part of the character he was to play in the drama. Similarly, Atman, the self you are, but because of the dress of the body, you identify with it and play the part of the stupid fool in the world and behave like one. And you act your part so beautifully that you forget your real nature. And then a guru has to come and advise you, you are not this. Now, in true meditation, you undress yourself and come to live your original nature as the pure infinite self. The perceived I factor falls. सर्वात्मना दृश्य इदम मर्ष्यव न भर मर्थ अक्षनिकतो दर्शनात् ज्ञानाम्यहं स्रोमिति प्रतीति कुतो हमादे अक्षिणस्य सिद्धेत. The the objective world is quite unreal, neither is the ego real, for it is seen to be fleeting. How then can the apparent I know all be true of the ego, etc., which are momentary? So at this stage I complete this video. Next video number 20 will start with the topic the perceived I factor falls. Stanza number 293. Thank you for watching this video. Namaskar. Thank you. Namaste.